Hi everyone, welcome to Verbling. My name's Joe, and today we're going to be working on improving our pronunciation through news articles about Valentine's. So if that sounds interesting to you, then go ahead and reserve a spot or join the class, and we'll be getting started shortly. Hello everyone, Hyde, Cesar.
Hello, teacher.
It's been a long.
Nice to see you again.
It's been a long.
It's been a long time, yes.
Where have you been?
I've been on Verbling. I've just been focusing more on one-on-one classes instead of the group classes. So, yeah. So we'll wait maybe like another minute or two for everybody to join. If you guys want, you can start taking a look at the articles that we're going to be looking at today and reading. First one is going to be this one from the Huffington Post, titled "The History and Present of Valentine's Day," and then I think we'll go on to the Time article, which is this one. Where's everybody from?
Just
Does
to
everybody?
me?
Yeah, just everybody. Do you want to say your
Ah,
name and where you're from?
my name is Cesar Mauricio Rojas. I'm from Bogota, Colombia.
Bogota, Colombia. All right, nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you, teacher.
Anna?
Hi, Joseph.
Hi.
How are you, Joseph?
Good. How are you?
I'm very good, thank you.
Good. Where are you from?
I'm from Brazil.
Brazil. All right. Cool.
Yeah.
What part of Brazil?
I'm the northeast, especially in Fortaleza.
Fortaleza. Okay. All right.
Yes.
Cool.
Do you know Brazil?
Yes. I mean, I know a little bit. I study Portuguese and
Ah,
Brazilian culture, so I know where Fortaleza is. So
very
yes.
nice.
Yeah. Cool. Okay. So I think we'll go ahead and get started. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Yeah, I think everybody's here, at least who reserved a spot in the class. So hi everybody. For those of you who don't know me, my name is Joe. I'm from the United States, and I'm from Arizona, which is a state right above Mexico, if you don't know where it is.
Nice.
Yeah. So today, what we're going to be doing is working on pronunciation. And the way that we're going to do that is by reading some news articles related to Valentine's Day, and we're going to read them together. And so the way that we're going to do it is you guys will take turns reading. So maybe you'll read a paragraph or 2 paragraphs, and then while you're reading, the rest of us will be listening, and then give you feedback on your pronunciation. And so in this process, we'll all be practicing words together, we'll be learning new words together, and it'll be a great way for you guys to improve your pronunciation. And so the one
I'm
thing,
sorry, Annapurna, please mute yourself. Some noise came from your computer, so it's
yeah,
frustrating.
the one thing I wanted to, yeah, thank you, Anna. One thing I wanted to also say is when you're not reading, make sure that your mic is muted so that no background noise is being picked up while somebody else is reading. And I'll do the same. And that's just respectful for everybody in the class. So the first article that we're going to start with is the one titled "History and Present of Valentine's Day." So I'm going to pull it up on my screen so you guys don't have to go anywhere. You can look at it here, or if you'd like, I posted the link in the Google chat, and so you can open it up there, whichever you prefer. But we're going to look at it together here. Okay, so this is from the Huffington Post, and this was posted, it's from 4 days ago. Yeah. So I'm going to zoom in so everybody can see. Okay. And so would anybody like to volunteer and read first?
Me.
All right. Thank you, Had.
Okay. Most people think Valentine's Day was invented by Hallmark cards. It wasn't. Valentine's Day is actually a well-documented historical tangled. Uh, I'm sorry. Please use.
Let me, yeah. Let me,
Okay. It's a tangled. Winding their way through centuries worth of Christian literature, I don't know, literature, uh, pagan tradition, myths, and an occasional beheading.
all right. Thank you. Okay. So, is there anything that you guys heard that we could help her improve upon as far as her pronunciation?
I don't know what
Liturgy.
literature.
Yeah, so first let's all pronounce that together. So anybody who would like to pronounce it, you can repeat it after me. Liturgy. Liturgy. And so one thing that I want to point out is a lot of the time when you have a T that's in between two vowels, such as this one, it's in between an I and a U, then it usually sounds like a D instead of a T. So instead of saying liturgy, it sounds more like liturgy. So it's kind of like a D sound. That's what I like to compare it to. So keep that in mind. Another example of that would be in the word 20, which is spelled T-W-E-N-T-Y. So you have the E and the Y, which both act as vowels. And so it sounds like 20 instead of 20. So keep that in mind when you're speaking, reading, etc. So the question, or your question was, what does liturgy mean, right? So the sentence reads, it's tangled roots winding their way through centuries worth of Christian liturgy. So liturgy, I don't really know. It's related to religion, obviously. You see Christian. I can't really explain it super well, so I'm just going to show you the definition and try and, I guess, paraphrase from that a little bit. It's a ritual, particular arrangement of services. It's related to religion, and it just depends on the context. So here, Christian liturgy, so maybe public worship or particular arrangement of services. So some sort of Christian services. Does that make sense, Hyde? Okay. Okay. So other than that, is there anything, any tips anybody would like to offer to her as far as improving her pronunciation?
What does it mean? Pagan.
Pagan tradition. Another word that I'm not 100. I think it's some sort of tradition. Maybe it dates back in time. Yeah. One of a people or community observing a polytheistic religion as the ancient Romans and Greeks. So also kind of related to, ancient religion, religious, spiritual. So pagan tradition. So it just, I guess it dates back to a long time ago. Yeah, so these words aren't really common words that you're gonna hear on a daily basis or hear too often in a movie or TV show or wherever you're using English. Any other questions?
What is tangled?
What is what mean?
Tangled.
Tangled. So tangled is kind of like, it's like for example, I'm actually going to go back and show you. Here we go. So tangled, you could think of it like, I guess kind of like this would be like tangled up. Like if my headphones were kind of like this. So it's tangled is in the sense of like kind of jumbled up together.
Kind.
So jumbled up together. So like a cord could be tangled. So like right now this is untangled. Tangled might mean if it's like this. It's tangled up.
Okay, thanks.
Any other questions?
Not.
No. Okay. So now what we're going to do is, like I said, we're going to practice our pronunciation. So I'm going to highlight some words like this, and I'm going to say them, and then I'd like you, all of you that are interested in, repeating it after me. So anybody who would like to can repeat it after me. So, and this is good practice for improving your pronunciation because you can mimic the way that I say it, and then that may improve your pronunciation in the way that you say it. So, first word, well documented.
Well documented.
Well documented.
Yeah, so, oh, sorry.
Well documented.
Right, so make sure when you pronounce it, you enunciate the last syllable, kind of id, so documented.
Well documented.
Good, yeah. Because otherwise, if you don't do that, then it's going to sound like document, and then it's going to confuse the person that you're talking to. Okay, tangled.
Tangled.
Okay.
Tangled.
Good. Okay, liturgy.
Literacy.
Liturgy.
Literacy.
Okay, and then beheading.
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 Okay, does anybody know what beheading means?
I don't know.
Get outside your head.
Cut.
Not get it.
Head. Kill.
Yeah, not get inside, but yeah, actually physically cut somebody's head off.
Cut your head.
Yeah, so to cut a head off, that's beheading. You're removing the head. So it's a form of killing somebody. Right. So yeah, so I'm glad we don't do that anymore. Okay. So if there aren't any questions, let's move on to the next paragraph, and then after that, we'll talk about these a little bit. So, would somebody else like to read this next paragraph?
And can I?
Yeah.
The most popular account of its not surprised. Valentine. I echo.
Okay, let's it could be my microphone. So let me-
Yeah, your computer is echoing.
Yeah. Valentine, a letter to be canonized saint who was executed in 270 AD by Emperor Claudius II for performing illegal marriage ceremony on the Roman battlefield. Back then, as the story goes, the military minded Claudius believed connubial bliss was bad for war and made it illegal for soldiers to wed.
All right, thank you.
Yes, but the soldiers
What was that?
The words, the subject, because the names, we already know, common.
Claudius, this name?
And many others.
Sorry, it's cutting in and out and it's hard to hear you.
Sorry, I said that this text is very difficult to read, but many words are and no common for common.
Yes, you're right. This text, this article is a little bit more difficult, especially because it's talking about the history of Valentine's Day, and it's on the Huffington Post, and their writers tend to use more complex, more advanced vocabulary. So it is a little bit difficult, but I think as the article goes on, it should become a little bit easier. I think it's just because this is the intro, and so we have like connubial. That word is one that I do not know. Connubial, which is it's an adjective of marriage or wedlock. So like relating to marriage, basically. So does anybody have any questions first? No. Okay. And I apologize if there's an echo. It could be it's probably my microphone.
Yeah.
And I don't know how to get rid of the echo. If anybody knows of anything, please let me know. Okay. So, thank you for reading. So let's practice a few words. And so this is for everybody. So the first one that we're going to practice is this one. Surprisingly.
Surprisingly.
Yeah, so let's so if you're having trouble, the best thing to do is break it into syllables. So surprisingly. Good. Good. And then another tip I want to give you is, so with numbers, with this one, and usually what you can do is, so the number itself is 270. So one way to say it is 270 AD. Another way that you might hear it is just 270 AD. So notice that's I think when I was reading it along, that's the way that I probably would have pronounced it. And now that's something that some speakers will do and some will not, some native English speakers. So you can choose to do it or you can choose not to do it. The benefit to saying it as 270 AD is you can say it quicker, and it's shorter because you just say 270 AD as opposed to 270 AD. So if you'd like, you can repeat that after me. 270 AD.
278.
And remember, like I said, when you have a T between two vowels, it's going to usually sound like a D. So you can think of this in numbers. So we have 27 or 20, 30, 40, 50, 60, 70.
Teacher.
Uh-huh.
Please. This case, 200 is correct. Too.
Yeah, that's also correct. Technically, the number by itself is 270. But sometimes with more common, I think it's with years is what we tend to do it. So like instead of saying 2012, a lot of people just say 2012 or 2015. right? So it's just a different way of looking at the numbers and reading them. Because if you, the number itself is 200 plus 70, right? But if you look at it and you're reading it, and it's a year, so instead we look at it as 2 and then 70 AD. So you're correct. You can also say 270. Both work.
Okay. Thank you.
Any other questions? No. Okay. Let's practice some more words then. So, next word, battlefield.
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 Good. Okay. And, okay. Believed.
Believe.
Believe it.
So
Believe
not
it.
believe. So not believe it, but believed.
Believe.
Good. Okay. Okay, so now let's talk about it real quick. So if one of you were to summarize this paragraph, what would you say? What is this paragraph telling us right now? And I know there are a lot of difficult words, but what did you learn from this paragraph? What is it telling us?
It's telling us the origin of this holiday.
Right, exactly. And is there anything specific that it's telling us?
Yes, it's very specific.
Uh,
And
Okay.
we change a sad history for a happy history for our days.
Right. Good. Okay. Anybody else they want to add? Anything you'd like to add?
Valentine is was raised and the emperor but married in the battlefield, but he
Good.
secretly celebrated marriage. Then finally he won.
Good. Exactly. Anything else anybody wants to add? No? Okay, good. Yeah, you basically covered it all. Yeah, so um, Valentine, which it's called Valentine's Day, right? At least in English. And so it dates back to the name of a temple priest, tells us right here, who was executed. So they killed him. That's what executed means. You're killed, and the reason that he was killed was for performing illegal marriage ceremonies. So he was marrying people as a priest on the Roman battlefield long ago, right? And so the reason that he was executed was because the emperor thought that if soldiers were getting married, then they would be full of happiness and this blissful feelings, and that it was bad for the war. So they made it illegal for soldiers to marry. Okay. Good. So next paragraph. Would somebody like to read?
Can I?
Of course.
In prison.
Bless you. Let me mute my microphone as well.
I'm sorry.
Good help. Imprisoned for his battlefield betrothed ways, Valentine, a man of many talents, supposedly hailed the blind daughter of his jailer while incarcerated, and the night before his execution gave the newly sighted young lass a handwritten card signed, "You guessed it, from your Valentine," and the rest, as they say, is history.
All right. Thank you. Okay, good. First, does anybody have any feedback or any tips, suggestions on pronunciation? No. Okay. That was good. So let's practice some words together. So you can repeat these after me if you'd like. First one, imprisoned.
Imprisoned.
Prison.
Yeah. So, so remember the way that you know if it's a T, like in jumped, or if it's id, like decided, or if it's more just like a D, imprisoned, instead of it's d instead of t, is by thinking about the last syllable and the sound that it makes. So here with the verb is imprison, right? So if you put your hand on your throat, I'll show you. If you put your hand on your throat with imprison, so that the N sound is voiced, which means you should feel vibrations right about here if you're saying it correctly. What that tells us then is when there's an ed, when it's in the past tense like this, it's pronounced like a D. So we say imprisoned instead of imprisoned or imprisoned. So that may sound confusing and complicated, but if you teach yourself it, then it will drastically help improve your pronunciation, because that's one of the most common mistakes that English learners make. And so to give you another example with the t sound, you have jump. So jump, the last sound is p, p, p. There's no vibrations if you're saying it correctly. So then we know that it's a t sound. So when we add ed, it's jumped. So just a quick reminder on that. Now going back. Okay. Next word. Supposedly.
Supposedly.
Good. And what type of word is supposedly? Good. What type of word is supposedly? Does anybody know?
Adverb.
Adverb. So yeah, so it's yeah, it's functioning as an adverb. Usually words that end in ly function as an adverb. What is an adverb? How would you describe an adverb or define it?
Adverb describes the verb or
Yeah.
an adjective, not noun.
Exactly.
Noun.
Yeah, good. Yeah, so it's kind of like an adjective, but for verbs, right? Because if you think about it, you have an adjective which describes nouns, and an adverb is kind of like an adjective, but for verbs. So it describes verbs. That's what an adverb is. Good. Okay. Let's practice this word. Jailer.
Jailer.
Good. Good. Okay. Incarcerated.
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 Good. Okay. Now going back up real quick to this sentence, I want to give you guys another tip on how to sound more like a native speaker and just improve your overall pronunciation. So, does anybody know what the schwa sound is? Or has anybody heard of it?
You make your mouth read up.
Yeah.
Not widely, or a little lazy pronunciation.
Yeah, good, exactly. So you're relaxing your mouth a little bit. So here, um, instead of saying a man of many talents, usually what you're going to hear is the word a. It's going to sound like and that's the schwa, which is the most common vowel in English. And it's the reason that English speakers speak so quickly, or it may sound like we do. So when you're reading it, instead of saying, imprisoned for his battlefield betrothing ways, Valentine, a man of many talents, so notice it's kind of like you connect it to man, to the next word, a man, a man. So instead of saying a man, which is going to slow you down and make you sound like a robot, you want to make it kind of like a. And I'm going to show you real quick what that looks like as far as what your mouth should look like. So it should be kind of like this.
Uh,
Yeah, so it's kind of like when people are thinking, when they're thinking about something, they're trying to say something and they don't know what they're going to say. A lot of times they say which is kind of like a filler. But it's also the schwa, so think of it that way. Another example that I think will make it clear is the word banana. So we don't say banana, right? We say banana. So there are two schwas. There are two schwas in there. So there are 3 syllables. There's ba, na, and na. And I'm typing this in the Google chat. And so the stressed syllable is the second syllable because we say banana instead of banana or banana, right? It's banana. It's in the middle. So the other syllables tend to be converted into schwa vowels. So that's why it sounds like banana, because they become schwa. So that may be confusing, but I'm just trying to give you a simple, short lesson of it. But this sound, this vowel, is the most common vowel in English. And if you're really working on your pronunciation and you want to improve it, the schwa is something that you want to investigate a little bit and study. And it's spelled S-C-H-W-A, schwa, in case you're curious of where to find it, how to find it. Okay, so going back, so now let's all practice this together. A man of.
A man of.
A man of.
Good. Anybody else? A man of?
Amanda.
Good. And so the word of also has a schwa. So it's of, not of, or ov, or something, I don't know, different. It's of. And so that's why the schwa is so hard. Because I can tell you, oh, you know, the word banana has it, the word a, the word of, but notice how here it appears as a written a, and in of it appears as a written o. So that's why it's very difficult to study. It's more just you have to learn where it appears and find patterns of where it appears. So maybe as we're reading, we can try and see if we can find and identify those patterns. Okay, next word that I want to practice, everybody do repeat after me, execution.
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 One more time, execution.
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 Good. Okay.
I'm confused with execution.
You're confused with execution?
Execution and execution.
Can you type both words?
Traveling around. Excursion the penalty.
X what? Expansion?
Excursion is the kind of traveling around.
Can you type it in the group chat? There's execution, another similar word might be excursion.
Yeah.
Excursion, right. So here, so listen to the difference, everybody. Yeah, okay. Execution versus excursion. Excursion versus right versus execution. So four syllables. So that also learning how to think about words in their syllables. That can also be a great way to improve your pronunciation. So let's think of it like this: execution. More or less like that. Execution, and then the other one, excursion. Excursion. Good. And what does excursion mean? Does anybody know?
Excursion, traveling around.
Yeah, it's kind of like an adventure. Like, let's go on an excursion through the woods. Kind of like an adventure, a journey. Good question. Does anybody else have any questions?
No.
No. Okay, let's practice it all together one more time. Both words. First one, execution.
Execution.
Yeah, so make sure the tion it's like a shun. Nation, execution, shun.
Execution.
And then excursion. It's kind of like a excursion. Good. Okay. So let's go back. Okay. So would somebody like to read next? Anybody who is not read, maybe?
Can I read?
Yes.
Of course. As in most historical accounts, there is almost an infinite variety of competing legends. Some religions, some pagan, some merely the result of bad translations by poorly educated scribes. According to the Catholic Encyclopedia, there were at least 3 early Christian saints named Valentine, each of whom were martyred on February 40th. And to make matters even more, Valentine, the official Roman Catholic roast of saints lists no less than 12 saints named Valentine.
Thank you.
Welcome.
Okay, so let's practice the pronunciation of some words. So repeat these after me. Variety.
Variety.
So remember same thing, that pattern that I was talking about. So we have E-T-Y, so T between two vowels, because Y is sometimes a vowel. Then usually it's going to sound like a D. So here, instead of saying variety, try to pronounce it more like Variety.
Variety.
Yeah,
Variety.
variety. Variety.
Variety.
Variety.
Good.
I
Okay.
have a question.
Yes.
Infinite. No. Sometimes I hear finite.
Say that again.
Infinite. Or
Oh,
infinite.
infinite.
Yeah, but someone says finite.
Infinity is correct.
So this word is pronounced infinite. I think this is, it looks like this is the only pronunciation listed in the dictionary. Infinity is spelled with Y, which also exists, and it's infinity.
Infinity.
Uh-huh.
But I learned infinite.
Right there, I know what you're referring to there. I have heard infinite as well. That may be a different word that I don't know how to spell. But I do know that if you
Infinite.
if you are talking about this word, which is infinite, which is to a unmeasurable extent, it's pronounced infinite. And the other cool thing is that, so when we were reading this article, there were some words that I'd never seen before. And so when I don't know a word in English, what I do is I go to dictionary.com, type it in, and you click here,
Infinite.
and you have a person pronounce it for you. So this is also a great resource I recommend that you use if you're unsure of the pronunciation of a word. But yes, it's infinite. There's a word actually, maybe you're thinking of finite, which I think is spelled like this. Let's double check.
Finite.
Yes, this word is pronounced finite.
Fine.
Uh,
Finite.
yeah. So it's finite is the opposite. It's measurable, and it's an adjective. So it has bounds. It has limits. So that could be why you thought it was infinite. Good question though. Okay, next word. So this one. So with the prefix edu, or I guess not prefix, but I guess morpheme. So whenever you see the edu, it's instead of education or educate or educated, it's It's kind of like a J, educate, educated.
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 Good, yeah, all of you pronounced it correctly, yeah. So just remember that it's like a J, educated, or educated, yeah, educated.
Educated.
Good, okay. Okay, real quick, what's a scribe? Does anybody know?
Five.
What was that?
People who write.
Good, yes, just a person who writes or somebody who writes. A scribe. Good. Okay. Catholic.
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 Yeah, so so two syllables, Catholic. Yeah, it's almost like the O is silent. Catholic, Good. Okay, saints.
Saint.
Good. Named.
Name.
Name it.
So remember what the rules. So the word is name. Excuse me, name. So name, it ends in a sound, which is voiced. There are vibrations. So it's going to be like a D sound. Named.
Name it.
So there, whoever just said that. So it's named instead of named.
Name it.
No, so not like that. So more like named.
Name it. Name it.
Okay, so yeah, so it'll just take some practice of just learning the rules, because I know they're difficult to learn, but they are learnable, and you will be able to improve your pronunciation with that. Um, so yeah, just practice that. I would say everybody who or anybody that struggles with that. Okay, and then okay, let's say this 14th.
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 Good. Yeah. So remember, so this is 14th versus 40th, which would be 40th.
40th.
40.
That's yeah. And then this is 14th.
14th.
Good.
What's the difference? Sorry, teacher.
Here, I'll come back and I'll show you in the Hangout. So the one in the article and today's date, at least where I am, would be 14th. So 14. So spelled out, and I'm typing this in the Google chat for anybody who's interested in seeing how it's written. And then the other one that I said was 40th, which would be 40.
Understand.
40,
40th. 40.
yeah, 14th and 40th.
What?
14th.
40th.
40, yeah, with it kind of like a D, 40th. 40th.
40th.
Yeah, 40. Right.
40th.
And so one thing interesting that I actually just noticed was, so we have the word 40, right, which is 40. So it's pronounced like 40, kind of like a D, but not a T, so we don't say 40th. Or so we don't say 40, we say 40, like a D. And now if we look at the word, the T is surrounded by an R and a Y. So R is not a vowel, it's a consonant, right? So I don't know the whole explanation behind this, but it's interesting because it's different than the rule that we were talking about before, the pattern of, oh, if we have a T between two vowels, it's going to sound like a D. This also follows that pattern, except for the fact that we have a consonant in a vowel. So these are just things that once you try and pay more attention to your pronunciation and the pronunciation of things, you'll start to notice these things and then wonder, oh, I wonder why they do that. And so I don't know exactly why we do it like that. It could be because of the consonant. It could be because of the location of the T in the syllable. I don't know. There are a lot of factors. But just one thing to be aware of. Okay, so let's go back. Okay, so has everybody had a chance to read? Yes? Okay. Okay, so now since everybody's had a chance to read, obviously we still have some reading to do left. So would anybody else like to read? Or anybody, and it's okay if you've already read once, you can read twice.
Can I?
Sure.
Okay. Indeed, depending on where you live and what you believe, it is possible to celebrate St. Valentine's Day on 6 different days of the year: November 3, January 7, July 25, July 6 being 4 of them. Me, I prefer February 14, not just because it's an American tradition, but because where I live, February is ridiculously bleak, and chocolate keeps my spirits and blood sugar high.
Good, thank you. Okay, so let's practice our pronunciation. Saint Valentine's Day.
Valentine's Day. Saint Valentine's Day.
Saint Valentine's Day.
Good. Yeah, so let's talk about that real quick. So in the US, we say Valentine's Day. Thinking about this day, if you celebrate it in the place that you're from, in the country that you're from, do you say Valentine's Day, or do you say Saint Valentine's Day, or do you say something else?
Valentine's Day.
Valentine's Day, okay. Anybody else care to share?
No, I hear many times Valentine's Day.
Valentine's Day, okay. Okay. Interesting. Okay. So now let's go on to days. So this would be November 3rd.
November 3rd.
November 3rd.
Third, yeah, third.
Third.
Good. Okay, the next one, 7th.
7th.
Okay, 25th.
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 Okay, good. Real quick, a rule I want to teach you, because it may seem difficult to learn the numbers, but it's actually pretty easy as long as you memorize the first 10, right? So we have, so I just want you to repeat these after me. First, second,
second,
third,
third,
fourth,
fourth,
fifth,
Fifth.
sixth, seventh,
seventh,
eighth,
Eighth.
eighth,
ninth,
Ninth.
tenth.
10th.
Okay, so now thinking about it, so we have first, second, third, which can be thought of as irregular, right? Because they have their own, I guess, structure. Versus fourth, fifth, sixth, seventh, eighth, ninth, and 10th. They all end in th, right? So now just as you add numbers on them, you have 11th, 12th, 13th, 14th. So past that, let's start at like 20. So we have the number 20, right? And then, for example, if we're talking about a date, we're going to say January 20th. You add TH. Now when we have 21st, or 21, sorry, then we get 21st. So notice, so it's kind of like adding 20 plus first. So 21st. Does that make sense? Then you have 22, which is the number. Then we get 22nd. So 20 plus second. So if you look at the second number, the closest number to the end, so here it would be 2, then you know from second that it's going to be second. So 22nd. So does that kind of make sense? Do you see the pattern here?
Yeah.
So yeah, so like 23rd or 23 would be 23rd, etc., etc. Good. Okay. Let's go back real quick. So let's see. So it says, you could celebrate it these 4 days. This author prefers the 14th, not because it's an American tradition, but because where he lives, lots of chocolate, and I guess keeps his spirits high. So we have 4 or 5 minutes left, so let's just spend it talking. talking about Valentine's Day. How do you celebrate Valentine's Day personally, and then how is it celebrated in your country? And anybody can start. Kind of like a discussion.
In Japan, the situation is different from other countries. Because we are Buddhists, so before we didn't have such celebration. But one chocolate company introduced that custom because many years ago, Japanese women are very shy. They couldn't confess their love from their side. So the chocolate company said, only this day, from women can confess their love to men. And then now women are not shy anymore, but still there are many chocolate booths in department store or central commercial shopping mall. And then there are many women gathering in front of the chocolate corner. Not men.
That's really cool. So the women confess their love to men or other people.
Yeah.
Huh.
Here in Colombia, we don't celebrate the Valentine's Day. We celebrate on September, but it's an important day for the industry of the flowers. We export the most beautiful flowers and the most quantity for this day to USA.
Wow. Huh. I
You know
wonder.
that? You know that?
I did not know that I did not know that I bought flowers today. I wonder if they were from Colombia. I don't know
Do
if
you
they
buy?
said.
Do you buy? Do you buy roses? Roses?
No, I bought sunflowers, and the reason is because I have a girlfriend and her favorite flower is the sunflower. So I got her sunflowers.
You can search for her red roses from Colombia. It's the
Red
best
roses from
roses of
Colombia.
the world.
The best roses. Okay, I will look next year.
Very beautiful.
I will look and see if I can find some. I'm sure. I bet they're very beautiful. I've seen pictures of Colombian, so I can only imagine that they're very beautiful.
Thanks, teacher.
Anybody else care to share? Anybody?
Time is off.
Yeah.
All right. Well, we have.
Okay. Valentine's Day is a very good opportunity for chocolate companies. So they had a lot of ideas. Only that day we can buy a special chocolate. Then nowadays, many females buy a chocolate for themselves.
That's funny. Yeah, I mean, here as well. Obviously you can buy chocolate whenever, but usually in the U.S. there are lots of assorted chocolates. So you'll find like boxes that are shaped like hearts that are pink and red usually, and they have different chocolates in them. And so usually people buy those and they give them to a loved one or somebody that they're seeing, somebody they care about. So it's pretty big here. Usually, a lot of people go out to restaurants. They usually, flowers Cesar, like you were saying, we import a lot of flowers because usually you give a person flowers, chocolate, and then maybe you go see a movie or maybe you go to a restaurant. Those are, I think, the more common traditions. At least as far as I've noticed from my perspective. So yeah. Well, cool. Well, that brings us to the end of the class. Thank you everybody for participating. I hope you enjoyed it, and I hope that the pronunciation exercises we did were helpful to you, and hopefully I'll see you again soon.
Thank you very much.
Thank
Thanks,
you.
teacher. Have a nice
Thank you. Bye, guys.
Thanks. Have a
Bye-bye,
nice
guys.
night as well. Bye. Bye, everybody.